We are talking exam season, getting ahead of it. We've had a few messages from people who've been clearly triggered by reminiscing about exam season, and we're speaking to the educators this hour. Nicola Peacock is with us, the assistant principal secondary school at Horizon International. Nicola, let's go down memory lane. What are your own memories of exams like as a teen? Did you thrive or did you barely survive?
That's a good question, and it was a long time ago for me, Helen. So I'm casting my mind back a long way. I actually am one of those weird individuals who quite enjoyed exams, so they were okay for me. On and off over the years, as I've taken different exams at different times, I felt differently. Perhaps university exams were far more stressful for me than GCSEs and A-levels. So a mixed experience for me.
I was the same. I always performed pretty well in exams, but instantly forgot all of the information. So it was like I was learning the information to pass the exam rather than learning the information to, enjoy the subject and take it forward into my life. So it was a bit of a box ticking exercise for me. So I wanted to get your take really, and I feel like. Is it Dubai? Is it the current, is it just the world now? Have things got more stressful for teens? I think yes. And I think exams is probably part of that. However, the conversation around mental health has evolved so much, certainly since we were at school. So I wondered, at Horizon International, how do you incorporate awareness around mental health into exam preparation in particular, Nicola? Would you mind kind of giving us some examples? Maybe we as parents can learn from that and maybe other schools could as well.
Yeah, of course. I think from a school perspective, actually incorporating mental health awareness into exam preparation is the wrong approach. Actually, what you should be doing is building a culture of mental health awareness and well-being throughout the year and throughout the years in school, so that whilst you might have some extra layers as students get close to exams, you're not having to just build it in at that point. Mm-hmm. So we would work on mental health awareness and well-being more generally through things like our PSHE program, through assemblies, through form times, through well-being initiatives that we have, such as peer supporters. We really foster strong relationships between students and teachers, and we encourage all of our students to know who their trusted adult is in school, because you're right, life is more stressful for teenagers. They carry so many more burdens, it seems, than we did, and they need to know who they can go to, who can listen, who can be non-judgmental, who can meet them where they are right now, not where someone expects them to be or someone wants them to be. So you will find that most schools will put on stress reduction sessions or how to manage your anxiety. They might offer some yoga, some mindfulness, but it's all of the work that's done in the months and years and weeks before exams that is actually the best support for our young people as they get into exam season.
And as you say, that can take different forms. It can be the practical strategies, but it can be, galvanizing their confidence, and it can be, as you say, making sure those relationships are in place and the communication's open. So they can, they can go. It's a real kind of zoom out approach, and then it does get down to, what some people might call squeaky bum time, and they've got to go into that exam hall and really perform. Yep. On the day, are there any techniques that you think can be useful for the calming and the reassurance, whether that's things that the parents can say at drop-off or things that you as educators are communicating to students?
I think there are important things for parents about keeping the morning of an exam as calm as possible. It can be quite emotionally intense, and sometimes, even myself as a mum, you feed off the stress of your children, and it increases your stress levels. So it's really important for parents to keep themselves as in control emotionally as possible, so that they can kind of co-regulate with their children. I think young people have a natural tendency to all want to come together at the start or just prior to an exam. And actually, for many students, that raises their stress levels. and in a sense, they're hyping each other up. So for many students, having some space away, walking around school with headphones in, listening to some music, finding some quiet spaces, talking to somebody that they trust in a quiet way, can work for some students. When they all come together, they kind of build themselves up, and that can be more stressful. Breathing is always a really important thing to do, to get that oxygen into your brain so that the rational part of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, can function properly. So walking, breathing, trying to find your own breathing techniques that work for you are really important for young people, and there are so many available that they can experiment with and see which ones work for them.
We've got Nicola Peacock with us today on the line. She's assistant principal at a secondary school at Horizon International. Some really interesting messages, questions, comments coming in. Anonymous message here saying, no name please, but I work in a university and so many students are genuinely so stressed and anxious they cannot do a single exam. We're going to be asking Nicola next, how does she see the future of assessments evolving beyond traditional exams? To have your say, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you on 4001. Got some Ed Sheeran taking you through, and then it's going to be your traffic. It is coming up to 4:45 on Thursday afternoon. Pleasure to have you with us. Don't forget, Off Script coming your way after 5.
Education on Afternoons with Helen Farmer.
With Horizon English School, rated outstanding by the KHDA, a British curriculum primary school focusing on child well-being and happiness since its opening in 1989.
Joining us from Horizon International School is the Assistant Principal of Secondary, Nicola Peacock. We had a message earlier saying so many students get stressed out, and I wanted to ask you about exams. How do you see the future of assessments evolving beyond traditional exams? Is that something that you think you're going to see in your career as a teacher, Nicola?
I have to be honest with you, Helen, I don't think I'm going to see it in my career. I can hope that future generations of young people don't go through such stressful times, but I can't see it changing in mine. In fact, within the UK education system with GCSEs and A-levels, I think it's got more traditional rather than more innovative in terms of how we assess students at GCSE and A-level with those hour and a half, 2 hour exams that we all remember sitting.
Well, it's a good topic for another day, actually, in terms of how the different curriculums suit different personality types as well,
yeah.
In terms of assessing and testing. But in the meantime, thank you so much for your time, Nicola. Really, really appreciate it. Some really useful advice there. Not feeling such a sense of dread for when my kids get to that age. And as you say, it's not just about the cramming. It's not just about a quick mental health plaster.
No.
It's about, really establishing relationships and resilience far before the time they go into that exam hall. Nicola Peacock, really appreciate it. Thank you. And we will, of course, put this on the podcast. So if you check out Eye on Education on Apple, there's Amazon, there's Spotify, whatever your podcast platform of choice is. And we'll make it super easy. You can go to the Dubai Eye website. We post all of our podcasts. And of course, Eye Education has its very own standalone ones. If you want to catch up on that and share it with anyone, it will be posted in about 10 minutes. Human League now on Dubai Eye.